got my workout in, I got everything in, and I'm good. It's late night for you over there, huh?
8 o'clock, my friend. Eight
Oh man,
o'clock. But
what
I'm
are
happy you
time
got your
zones?
workout. What are time
Yeah,
zones? Yeah. I'm
it's
glad
so
we were able to
ridiculous.
do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being on. I'm so always so excited to chat with you about everything because you always have so many things going on. So I know there's just I was reading through your list of things in the form, and it was I love it. I love it. All the midwife stuff stood out to me. I was like, that is amazing.
Except a
uh,
couple of people are like, "Oh, really? I study medicine." I'm like, "No, no, 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 not for real. It's just a creative way of saying it."
I love it. I love it. Well, again, thanks so much for jumping on. I know this has been kind of a little bit of a back and forth with the time zone stuff, but always glad to have you here. And last time we chatted, you have so many things going on. So, do you want to just give a quick rundown on what you do, and then we can kind of kick it off from there?
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, hi everyone. What up? My name is Pia. I work as a creative. Actually, I have a new way of describing. Let's see if it lands with people. I work as a creative midwife, helping visionary founders, executives, and creatives bring their businesses, brands, and ideas to the world. Bring it to life. And I
Love
do
it.
this through creative coaching and as well like creative services. So being a creative partner in many different ways, because oftentimes what stops us is not creativity itself, it's us.
Yeah,
The
this
ideas
is
are
true.
there, so I found that combination so potent, to be able to go a little bit deeper on, okay, what's the big idea? What's the big dream? What's calling you? What's getting in? How do you get in your way? What are the blocks? And then, all right, let's do this thing, right?
I
Together.
love it.
So it's
You
a
have this
beautiful
like
work.
passion behind everything you say. I love it. Like it's just
Mhm.
like it's encapsulating, if that's the right word. Like it just like brings you in. It's wonderful.
Well, I'm glad. I do feel really passionate about my work. It's been great also just to be on the journey of seeing it crystallize, it kind of
Yeah.
come together. These things take time. And I think that's a good thing to remember. I was told that by a dear friend of mine who's a long-standing CEO, and he said, building a business takes time. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. 1 year, and it's not only that it takes time to build, but really the art of it coalescing into who you're becoming, and you know where you really create your own magic and medicine in the world, it becomes clearer the more that you do it. So to
Yeah.
anyone listening out there, you don't need to know exactly what it is. That's not a prerequisite. You just need to have an idea, an inkling, a deep curiosity, and follow it. The
Yeah.
answer will come as you walk. I mean, at least that's what it did for me. I don't know about you, Z, if that rings true for you as well.
Yeah, and I think, and I love what you said there about like ideas, because as you obviously, I think you and I have bounced this back and forth a few times. It's like ideas can go so many different ways, and I think a lot of people, at least I'll speak from my side of things, is where I think a lot of people feel like they're not creative or whatever that sort of stance that they stand on is that they're not capturing those ideas. They're not like writing stuff down. They're not putting it on paper. They're not letting it have a like room to breathe. And I think
Mm,
you and I talk about this all the time. Having just a simple notepad
mm,
is just like so much. Yeah, I know. It's exactly. And I think it's I carry one with me everywhere, and then at times I'll just sit there and write. But long story short, it's like, yeah, it's everywhere. Like I literally have three of them sitting on my desk. It's
same.
just and and 90% of it I don't ever look at again. 90% of it I might not read, but then there's that 10% that you're just like, there was something there. Like now I'm even, drawing things and all this. And I think a lot of people just don't give themselves that time to just get it out of their brain, no matter how terrible it is or what they think about it at that moment. They're just have this like spark, like this idea about whether it's a business or it could be literally anything. It could be a thought. It could be one word. It can be whatever it is. Just write it down and let that sort of start connecting the dots to something else, to something else, to something else. Like it just, I feel like it's like a brain expansion, like exercise, like just putting something on paper. And I feel like you as a, let's call it a midwife or a coach for people, like how do you get them to pull those ideas out? How do you get them to take that next step? How do you get them to like unveil themselves a little bit more? You know what I mean? Like how do you, what's your, I know there's probably not one ingredient that it's like for everybody this thing works. Everyone has kind of different lives and different things, but I'd love to know, like from your experience working with people, understanding their hardships, their struggles, their, you know, their positives, the thing that they have going for them that they're not even seeing. Like what is that process like, and where do you feel like you come in and you just like sort of like start flipping that switch for them a little bit?
I think it very much depends where they are in their own creative process. So I've developed different tailored journeys. I mean, they're still journeys that are sort of predefined based on my experience to a certain degree, but they're very tailored because everyone's journey is so different. But there are some commonalities. So
Mm-hmm.
for some people, it's like the clarity and vision isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a calling. There's like, I can't go to bed at night because I have all of these thoughts that are visiting, and there's something that's tugging me, and I can't, it's
Mm-hmm.
getting uncomfortable to continue the status quo or to just continue life as is. And I like, this is getting painful. I have to
Mm-hmm.
explore
Mm-hmm.
this. And so then that's a whole process of getting really clear on, all right, what's the big vision? What's the big dream? Like really getting that clarity and then figuring out an action plan, like okay, what moves you closer to that and how can we work through that together, and also what gets in your way, because oftentimes there's a feeling of stuckness and excitement.
Mm-hmm.
It's both, it's not all pain, right? It's like, oh, and then it's like, yes, but I know there's so much more for myself and for me out there. And then that's a longer journey because it's a more of a deep dive. And then there are creatives or vision or founders or executives that are like, I have a business idea, or I have an idea for the brand I want to build, or I have an idea for the creative project. Maybe someone, for example, I have a client who's writing a book, and somewhere along the way, I feel like I've either lost momentum, I lost my mojo,
Mm-hmm.
something has dropped, and or I have a division, but the outline isn't clear, the smell of it, the taste of it, you know, something's going on, but they're really ready to roll up their sleeves in close partnership, like an intimate, more of a sprint,
Mm-hmm.
and co-create. So that's a lot more like involved. So it's like, all right, let's look at the big picture stuff, and then let's also, once we get to the point of, oh, it's that. Oh, it's
Yeah.
that that's stopping me. Oh, it's that that's really calling me. Oh, it's not the book, it's this, or it's, you know, the business looks like that, but actually it's a bigger dream than even the business. And oh, all of it is connected to the kind of life I want to live, because you cannot separate the two, right? So it's like,
Right.
how does that
Right. Right.
align with the what a really juicy life is? Otherwise, what's the point of building anything?
Yeah.
If it doesn't enable the life that you want to live, then we need to question that too, right? Then what is it? Or what's the motivation? And then lastly is someone has built the thing and then just need to find the voice for it. So
Right.
working
Right.
together to like, how do you then express this brand, express this vision, and express your offer in a way that's really resonant with you and that calls in your people? So those, as you can see, those are like three different points,
Tears.
pivotal points, yeah, in a journey of where
Yeah.
different um, creatives, visionaries, founders, executives might be. I also have people that are like, oh, I don't, a 9 to 5 is not for me anymore, and I'm really ready to start, but I'm on the ledge and my foot is
Right.
out there, and I need support in that. So there are all of these juicy pivotal moments in life, these transitional moments, and I think that's where partnership really makes a huge difference. It did for me too. I mean, I drink my own Kool-Aid. I have amazing
Mm-hmm.
partners. You know, when there was a pivotal point in my business, I was like, how do these pieces fit together? I do
Mm-hmm.
creativity, I do this, I do that. Like, I don't, how does this all come together, and how does this support the vision of my life that I want to live? And so I met with a creative coach who combined both, and we were able to really kind of crystallize what that looked like, connect dots that I couldn't see, show me blind spots I also didn't know I had, um,
Yeah.
and raise awareness. I mean, all of it is essentially about getting, you know, raising awareness about yourself,
Yeah.
if I had
And
to
I think
summarize it.
and it's and I always I love that because I think a lot of the time when you and I are talking, I think even last time it was like you're writing a book and I'm over here like, oh my God, I just got this like process started for what I want to do. And there's always these like overlaps with our kind of train of thought. And for me, last night I was sitting down and just kind of turned everything off. And I was just like typing on my iPad, and I think about all those, you kind of said it, you have like the creative stuff, you have this, you have that, you have all these little things that are kind of like floating around you every day. And I always think about it, they all symbolize you in one way or another, one part of your brain, one part of your whatever. It's like the hardest part for us, and I will speak for myself, is creating that ecosystem where things start to gel together. They start to
Totally.
sort of feed off of each other. It's like you can have a piece of input here and it kind of trickles into these other layers of your life. Like I think that's kind of the power, and also maybe a little bit of detriment of social media, because social media can really be this powerful tool that you use to express yourself, grow your business, whatever that might be. But then there's also the bad part of it where you could just get really stuck, start having major imposter syndrome. You feel like you were talking earlier, somebody feels like they're stuck and they don't know where to go and they lose momentum. Like social media can literally do both of those things within minutes of each other. I feel like it's happened to me where I'm like
Yeah.
sitting there, like my brain's on fire, all things are coming out, and then you read one thing and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
like, and it's a crazy thing to navigate through and put your mind through, if I'm being honest, because you're constantly like tugging here, tugging here, tugging here. You're just like, so you almost need to like shut everything off and just focus on what you're doing and put it out there and do your best work. And I feel like that's where a lot of people who are just jumping, I mean, I've been kind of in this like creator space for a couple years now and talking about like writing and different things like that. But when it comes to people getting into this world and they're seeing, it's that comparison thing where they see somebody that's, oh, I want to do this exact same thing as this person, but they've already grown 500,000 followers. You're just like, that right there, that moment right there could either be a motivation or it could be like, I'm not doing this and I'm going to go back to my 9 to 5.
But that's where the power of curiosity comes in,
Exactly.
right? Like,
Exactly.
okay, let's take a step back here.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about having 5K followers that is exciting to you?
Right.
What would that do for you?
Exactly.
What do you want from that? Oh, I'll feel, what is it, validated. I'll be able to
Yep.
monetize my product. Okay, maybe you have 500 followers. Who could say you can't monetize your product now? Or, those people are your fans. They're there with
Mm-hmm.
you. Because often we get, I think, into this, and I'm guilty of it too, this fan count, follower count game where it's like, need more, need more, need more. It's like, hey, what if we just took a break and really appreciated all the people that are with us and engaged
Mm-hmm.
more with them? So I think it's just perspective. And so just kind of checking in with yourself, like, whoa, I do it too. Like, what is it
Yeah.
about that that's interesting to me? That's like, what is it showing me that I really want? Because it's never really the number. It's
No.
not the 10K months or the 5K followers or whatever it is. It's something else. And so it's an invitation to get curious about yourself when you feel that way, instead of immediately going into like charge mode and like, all right, I'm going to download the latest template to get to 5. Like,
Exactly.
take a
I'm
moment.
gonna hack my
Yeah,
way there,
yeah,
type of
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Take a beat just for a second. Because once you're on that kind of wheel, it's you can stay on it for a while, and then you might end up somewhere that you don't really want to be. Because then you get to that 5K and you're like, oh, what's changed?
Right. Right.
That, like, the dopamine hit of that leaves
Yeah.
quickly.
It does. So a question for you. Tell me about like your sort of journey. I know we overlapped that kind of earlier on when we were both sort of writing through different cohorts and different things, Ship 30 and all this. What's been the one challenge that's kind of propelled you into being able to help people now, that it sticks out to you almost like every time you talk to somebody or coach somebody, where you just say, listen, this is how I worked through this. I was in the same place. Like, what is that one thing through this? Is it, is it navigating through the content? Is it navigating through like what you want to put out there? Like, what's been that struggle for you? Because from like a business coaching side of things, for me, it's more on the product side and like that. But for you, I feel like you're dealing with people that are more in this space of like, I just need to get stuff out there type of thing.
Mm. My style of coaching is I don't tell people what worked for me because that's what worked for me.
Right, right,
That
right,
doesn't mean it's going to work for them.
right.
What I really want them to invite them to do is really to get really, really curious about what they want, why, what is it that's calling them, what's important to them in life, what does a meaningful life feel and look like to you, and really, really kind of connecting with, whether you call it intuition or spidey sense or gut, connecting with yourself to be able to understand if you should take a right or a left, not because someone says right is the way to go. And there's so much fulfillment that comes from being able to be your own compass and to know yourself. And I think I had my coaching supervisor who said, it really stayed with me. He's been coaching for like 50 years or something, 40 years, I don't know, a
Yeah.
long time. And he said, all people really want is one thing, to know what's right for them.
Uh-huh. I like that.
And I got the chills. I still get the chills. I mean, it feels very true for me. We all just want to know what's right. And there's only one place to find that answer.
Right.
And it's not in my experience. So it's really about that. And I think a lot of us, sometimes we don't create the space or have the space to really sit down. And you said reflect. You're showing journals, right? Just to meet yourself every day. Get curious so that you make sure the thing you're building is a palace and not a prison.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
because, success, what does success mean to you? Such an important question. There's no right or wrong answer. No one gets to be right. No one gets to be wrong. It's just what does that mean for you? And it's going to change, of course. You're going to change in life. You're a fluid, beautiful, changeable being. But really taking the time to think about what success means to me. And for most people, it's spending time with people they love. It's freedom to design their own days. It's being able to do the things that light them up. It's, be sitting watching a sunset. It's the simple things. And I think when you reconnect to that, it's it just puts things back into perspective.
And
You know?
and it's crazy because when people see the word success, I feel like immediately right after that they see money, like
Yeah.
monetary.
Yeah.
They don't take that time, like you said, to check in with themselves to see the deeper meaning of success. Like I know for me at one point that was the case. It was like, oh, when you have money, you're successful. When you have
Mm,
like, but now that's completely changed. For me, it's like time, like freedom, like to be able
mm,
to just sit here and talk to people, to be
mm,
able to do the things that in that moment, like I love when people ask me like, what's your day look like tomorrow? Like, I have no clue. Like, I really don't know. Like, whatever triggers me tomorrow will be tomorrow. And I think
Beautiful.
from that fluidity, it really, like, when you start feeling that, when you at one point it was kind of weird because I was like, oh, I kind of felt like I needed to say things just to fill up my day, to be like, oh, these are the
Mm,
things I'm gonna do. And most of the time I wouldn't even do that. That was just like regurgitating shit that I thought I
mm.
was supposed to say to people or like fill up my day. But then I get to my day and I'm like, I don't want to do any of those things I said yesterday. You know what I mean? And it's just like
Yeah.
that space that you were talking about is
Yeah.
so important. It's so important.
But that's a great example. Not knowing what you're going to wake up to every day is heaven for some people and hell for others.
Exactly.
People want to
Exactly.
wake up and know
Exactly.
exactly that's what they feel. And it's not a right or a wrong. It's about,
Yep.
now that you know that about yourself, you can design that for yourself. You're like, it
Exactly.
doesn't matter. People say my day should be packed and color coded with all types of things every hour. That's fine. That's their jam. I need space, I need the spontaneity. I need not knowing. That's what makes me feel alive. And asking those big questions, and however you did that, I don't know if it was journaling or whatnot, or
Yep.
just experimentation of trying out different days on for size. And I think once you have that answer, you can design around that. You can architect your days differently. How powerful
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that I
And
think that is the true meaning of for me of like success, like the ability to be able to tap into that and just wake up and be like, today feels like a day I should just be doing this. Like I want to open up my notebook and just sit here and draw things, like have just drawings. Like that's I don't know, that's what feels right today.
And the second thing about that, because there's one thing is figuring it out, right? Like getting really curious, figuring out this is what works for me. And then there's like this, I see this commonly. There's a permission slip that often needs to be written. There's the idea of what you should be doing, how you should be doing, how you should not be doing it. It's like, no, this is what works for me. Of course I can go for it. And the same with big dreams or big ideas. Sometimes it's just the idea, oh, can I really allow myself to do that thing? What happens? And then there's always fear. Like, what happens if I actually go for that big, 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 juicy dream and then it all goes to shit? And then, well, if we all know it's like the logical answer, which is you'll regret not doing it, but it's a very emotional fear, and it can feel very scary until it doesn't. That's why it's like, oh, well, what if you took like little micro steps in that direction, and then like get more comfortable being uncomfortable, stretching into that zone, and then realizing I can fucking do this if I want to do this. I can wake up and not have my day. And so I think those things kind of come together. And there's a bit more sometimes behind the scenes complexity around things that sound like it's pretty simple. There's something happening underneath that makes it a bit more challenging, which is part of the growth. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I love what you said, micro steps, and I think that's where people who want to tap into something new, they're, like you said, maybe it's a job thing, maybe it's this thing like you go to sleep every night and you're just thinking about it. It's an underlying thing of, again, it could be the social media influence or whatever else it is. It's like there's this underlying thing that you need to go from step 1 to step 10 instead of going step 1, step 2, step 3, maybe 3.5, maybe 4, maybe 4.5, instead of going from 4 to 10 or 4, and I had to learn that the hard way. I almost had to work in reverse when I was running my agency, because we just had this influx of like stuff that was going on. But then when I pulled back and I, kind of thought about it from a different perspective, it's like, man, if we had just done this in a much tighter, smaller way, less people, all these other things, like there's a true power in taking many steps, even if it's today. Like I always tell my friends is like, if you want to, I have friends that are just I've been wanting to start a business. They're in a 9 to 5, blah, blah. It's like, the simplest thing you can do every day is just to put 15-20 minutes, like even drawing like a fucking logo, that like just get your brain in that motion. Then sort of new things start trickling in. It's like these little things, like somebody would be like, oh, that looks stupid just for me to sit here and draw, but like you don't understand how powerful that is in the long term, because at some point when you do build that business, that brand, whatever you want to call it, you're going to go back and be like, man, it all started with me just simply putting down ideas. These are the things that I want to tackle with my business. These are the things that I want to do. And this little logo that I drew in the corner ended up being what this is right now. Like people just don't understand that concept until it's like later down the road. And they're like, oh, they have those like, oh moments. And for me, that's one thing that I've always, it sounds so like, I don't even know the word. It almost sounds like borderline stupid when you tell it to people. Be like, dude, go draw a logo for an hour. Somebody's gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I need to like go register a business. I need to go do all these like big things. I'm like, no, you don't need to do any of that. That stuff does not matter in this moment. In this moment is just to start doing something towards that goal and do the smallest thing, take the smallest little step. It's just like working out. It's just like anything else. You can't go lifting 100-pound weight before you lift a 5 and a 10 and a 15 and a 20. Like just simple as that. And I think that's so powerful what you said. Like I literally wrote it down, and I know this myself, but it's like micro over macro. Like just go little and go little for a long time rather than try to go big for a short time, because then you're just going to fail.
And even in the beginning, ain't nothing wrong with setting the bar a little lower. Like, do it 3 times a week. If you're just getting started, you don't have to do it 7 days a week, and also, even if you work full time, and we all have full lives, like if you can't take an hour out of the day to do something that makes your heart beat faster, that you love, then something's a little off. Not to be judgy about it, but like 1 hour a day to do what really lights you up. And I think that's also changing, like that's creating a new mental groove, like, okay, I get to do this. I'm going to do this. I get to do this, rather than just following the path you've been walking down over and over again, like every day.
Yeah.
Work, what's for dinner, TV,
Yep.
Netflix series, sleep, rinse and repeat. It's like just changing it up, throwing a wrench in the whole plan and just going, no, not gonna watch Netflix, for example, or I'll watch a half an hour show and I'm just gonna do an hour or half an hour. Again, bar low. Start
Yeah.
with half an hour. Start with 15 minutes. Start with 10 minutes.
That's it.
You could start with 10 minutes. I had someone I was working with. I was like, 10 minutes creative a day where you do anything. You
Yeah.
could doodle. It doesn't have to actually do anything. It doesn't have to have perceived value beyond you just doing it because you enjoy it.
That's it.
And there was so much joy that came from that experiment because, I mean, really, your logical mind can't say, I don't have 10 minutes. No,
Right.
it's not. No, you have 10 minutes. Like, an hour, all right, maybe your mind might debate with you. So yeah, and then so that's what you said something else that was the ecosystem. That was a while back. I don't know. You just said something I want to comment on. Now I forgot. It was Microsteps, and what were you saying just before that? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
That was a whole
There
5
was
minutes ago. What do
something
you think I
about your
remember?
process that was, yeah, exactly. Something about your process I found interesting that I wanted to touch on. But anyway, yeah, microsteps. That's the kicker. But then also, as I said, like first perspective, like what are you stepping towards? Because if you don't
Right.
know, and that doesn't mean the direction can't change. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. The journey. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you love what you're doing, it's not only about getting to that 5K
Yeah.
follower or 10K. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, we have survival, but I just mean like generally, if you love what you're doing and you're a part of building it and you can create safety and hey, I don't know how it's going to be. If you can create safety and uncertainty, I think that's a big one for entrepreneurs. Like, cause you never
Yeah.
know where things are coming from. So you have to learn how to create your own sense of safety because sometimes you might not have those months, whatever 5K, whatever the months are, 10K. So you have to say, okay, can I trust that things are fine? And then, it's not just about the money that makes me feel safe. It's not just the money. I can create that safety within myself because that's true freedom. Because if you don't
That's
feel
it.
safe unless you make a certain number, and I'm not talking about survival again, I just mean like,
Right.
lush, then are you really free? Because then you're
Right.
always dependent on something else to make you feel that way. And
You're
money
tied
is
to that number on a month-to-month basis.
and then that number will change because that's how the mind works, right? You'll get to the 10K and they'll be like, really? Maybe it's really the 20K. And then it just keeps going and going. And so you realize that it's like, that's not the end. There's no end game there. You
No.
put your ladder against the wrong wall, dude. That's not where you're, the end game is
Yeah.
figuring out like, what is it that really matters to you that you're passionate about doing, that you love the process so much, you're enjoying. Yeah, the destination is the cherry. Someone wrote that in X today. I like that. That the process is the cake, and the destination is the cherry on top.
That's it.
So it's like you eat all the cake. Most people just want to eat the cherry. Whoever
Yeah.
said this on X, I would give you credit, but I don't remember. They say, most people just want to eat the cherry because I wrote about fuck the destination. That was one of my posts,
uh
right? So you just want to eat the cherry, they don't enjoy the cake.
right.
And the
Right.
cherry is this tiny little piece of the thing. The cake is the whole thing. Like everything
Yeah.
is process. And the
I
minute you get to
personally don't
one
even like the
destination,
cherry. I don't even like the cherry.
me neither, actually. But it's like but I mean, not to be cliched about it, but
Yeah.
the journey is the destination. It's just because
Yeah.
when you're going to change and then you get to the destination and it will feel good for a hot second. It's always nice to be validated when things go well and you achieve the goal you set out to achieve. But it's really what's behind the goal and how much are you enjoying the whole process of just doing it. And if you can land that, then, then it's sweet. It's not a cakewalk, but even when it's hard, it feels good because you're doing something that's aligned. Here, I'm going to get a little woo or whatever with your spirit, like, with
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing that, it's incredibly rewarding, even when it's tough as nails. And
Yeah.
figuring out what that is, that's the thing. And then
That's the
allowing
thing.
it to be big and expansive. Maybe it doesn't have to it's not just one thing. It's one thing for now. And it's maybe connected to a bigger purpose. That's kind of like your North Star that lights up all the different paths that you'll take. But there is a connection, right? So anyway, I just wanted to throw that into the mix because we talked
I
about
love it.
money and process and stuff. So the cake
Now
came in.
I'm gonna take your own words and flip it really quickly. What's been the most exciting part about writing a book
Oh
so
my
far?
God. Isn't it funny that the most exciting part is also the hardest part? It's really weird. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Okay, a couple of things. What's really exciting is, okay, so the book is called Welcome to the Creative Club. It's how to make life your biggest art project ever. And it sets out to debunk the myth that creativity is reserved for the chosen few. The premise is we are all creative. And
Yep.
the most creative act is designing your fucking life. There's
Exactly.
no more creative act than that. So it takes you
I
through
love that.
the different chapters of what gets in your way, how to connect to yourself,
Can I just
all
say
these things.
quickly that I'm so fucking excited to have Pia's book like sitting on my fucking desk here one day?
So
Like,
am
can
I.
I just fucking say that to just be like,
Yay.
I know this person and she wrote a fucking book.
That makes me really happy. It means a lot. So part of that, I'm just going to answer your question. So part of it is memoir. So I
Yeah.
can only talk about what I know, right?
Right.
Then
Right.
there's lessons, concepts, was supported by some research and other things, and then there are big takeaways. So it's like actionable micro steps, field work. So at the end of most chapters, it's like, okay, how can you apply this? Because I don't want the book is not something just to be consumed; it's something to be felt and actioned and experienced. And this is really important to me. And I want to have skin in the game, so I share things that are vulnerable to me. But some of the biggest lessons I've learned in my life around what creatively gunks me up. And like basically some of the biggest lessons that I've learned around how to stop following someone else's script and start writing my own are fucking tough ones.
Right. Right.
It's not easy. So I really want to put myself in the book and skin in the game in service of people, in service of my readers, in service of unleashing creativity in people, to say like, yeah, this happens, but it could also fuel you, right? And so I think that's the hardest part of writing the book is, I'll tell you what my editor said. It really stayed with me. I was writing a difficult moment when I was 17. I got kicked out of my house and my clothes were being thrown down the stairs. And it was a difficult moment. And I was writing about it. And my editor said, no one cares what future Pia thinks about what happened to 17-year-old Pia. Readers care about what 17-year-old Pia felt in that moment.
Oh, now you got to go back and dig
Yes,
deep. You got to go dig
yes.
deep and be like,
I was
what does it
like,
look like when I'm looking up the stairs and seeing
yes,
all that clothes coming
exactly,
down?
exactly. And let me tell you,
God,
see,
there's
I
so
don't,
much power in those words. There's so much
right?
power in those words.
I don't want to do that. I don't
Yeah,
wanna, do I have to go back there? Shit, I don't even think I was there when I was there. But anyway, I do. I do my best to do that because that's how people feel it. You know, it's not
that's
if I'm
amazing.
talking about it as if it already happened. It's like I'm distancing myself from it because logically it was a
That's the
painful
story.
situation.
That's the story right there. That's the powerful story that people are going to take themselves back. It's like when you smell something that's familiar from
Yeah,
back in the days and
exactly.
it just takes you right back into that
Exactly.
moment. You're like, I know exactly what I felt when I had that, you know, whatever dish or bread. Bread does that shit to me all the time. My parents will make it's like, it just takes you right into that moment. And that's super powerful.
So that's the hardest and most exciting thing because, in a way, I've had to connect my own dots. I've had to pack my suitcase in a way. Like, you know, I've been through a lot of different experiences in my life, and writing this book has required me to like take the clothes from all the different experiences and put it in a suitcase and integrate a lot of that. And I don't know if I've ever really done that work in this way. So it's really, really powerful for my own growth and, dare I say, healing and creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something really interesting about the process of writing that does that to you. And then the second exciting and hard thing was, so I'm working with a hybrid publisher. Great. I'll shout them out. They're called Manuscripts. They're fantastic. And what they do is it's hybrid, so you own all your rights, but then you have to pre-sell to publish the book. So in order to raise the funds to publish your
Right.
book. So that's like $15K. And so I remember when I had to go through the contract, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to raise $15K. And like I had a moment because I'm going to have to step out on stage. I'm going to have to ask for help. I'm not really that great at asking
Right.
for
Right.
help.
Right.
I really am not. And I think I'm going to have to promote myself. But if I do believe 100% in what I'm creating, and I do believe the value and the impact it's going to make, so that makes it a hell of a lot easier because I'm not selling like air. There's
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm inviting people to be a part of like the early experience of this book and get feedback. And there's like tons of things. Yet in that moment, I was like trembling. I got scared. I felt scared. I felt like, oh
Start
my God.
sweating a little bit. Start
Yeah,
sweating a
what the
little bit.
fuck?
Yeah.
What am I doing? And I'm gonna have to be visible and seen and ask for help and all these things. And what if it doesn't happen? And all the voices and the stuff. And then the coach in me said, "Ooh, you're fucking scared. Great." that that means you're stretching. That means
Yeah.
you're really stretching. That means you're really stepping out into something that feels so wildly uncomfortable. This is the growth zone, baby. That's
Yep.
why your heart's beating faster, your palms are sweaty, and you feel a bit scared shitless, like you just want to get back on the couch and watch that series and, forget about it, right? And like that's such a beautiful sign. It's hard to catch, but I'm glad I did because I was like, all right, I'm good. I got it. I'm in the growth zone. I'm in the growth zone. And I think that reframe, for me at least, is extremely helpful. And I think
I love
that's
it.
what we all experience as humans. It's kind of natural. Parts of us trying to keep ourselves safe. We don't have lions and tigers anymore, at least most of us. But, you know, dog. Sorry. It's funny that he wagged his tail just as I was talking about animals. Anyway,
even though she can't hear you because I'm
she
on the
can't
thing, but
hear
she
you. Maybe
knows,
she
she
feels
feels
me
it.
because I don't know
Yeah.
if she would be able to understand me anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. She is kind of
um,
like a lion, actually.
there you go. But just saying, like these things, when we get scared, it's a sign. It's a good sign for the most part, of course, that we're doing something that's really requiring us to step into the next version of who we're becoming. Ain't
What
nothing
What
more
was that?
powerful than that, if you ask me.
100%. What was that moment like when you were talking to your editor and they said go back to that moment of being 17 and describe that moment? What did you do right after that? Like, take me through that process of like, did you get super emotional? Did you cry? Did you give me the feels? I want to know what happened because now it's making me think about a lot of moments in my life. And like that saying just triggered something inside of me.
Well, the truth of the matter is I parked it because the first half of writing this book is writing as much as you can. You could keep writing forward. You get the feedback because the feedback stays with you. So the next chapter you write, you do that. Do you know what I mean? Like then
Okay. Okay.
so it was such a big learning for me. Like, okay, it's Pia in that moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So truth be told, I left it and then I took it with me. And when I go back to edit the whole thing, because I'm still very much in the writing, getting the first draft is imperfectly perfect as it is, just getting it done, which is a big one. And then going back and editing everything. But I did that in future chapters when I had when I had other moments and other memories and other like all again in service of, right? It's not just sharing something for the heck of it. It's because it's tied to a lesson or it's tied to something I'm inviting people to explore themselves. And so it really helped. It served me in the future.
I love it. Has this been the most challenging piece of creative work that you've done to this day? Because I know, I mean, you've been in the agency space, you've been dealing with a lot of. Has this been solely like one of the most challenging yet probably rewarding things you've worked on?
I would say, yeah, I think it has been. I mean, because it's a very personal. It's different because it's not for my clients or for
Mm-hmm.
someone else. It's for my readers, of course, but it's also coming from me. It's a project I decided to do and invest in and go for because it felt really important to me to share this. And there's
Yeah.
always a reason not to. Like sometimes I have this little voice like, oh, maybe you should wait till you know more, or when you do that other thing, or you get, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, it's going to
That's
be with
always going to
every,
be there.
right? Always. It's going to be like, it's going to be with everything I got right now. And that's going to be enough. And then if there's another book that needs to be written later, it'll be written later. Those are the kinds of things that stop us. That kind of
Exactly.
voice, of like, oh,
Yep.
but
Yep.
do you really know enough? Are you really there yet to be sharing the thing? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I
Shut
do.
up.
Yes, I
Yes.
can. Shut up. Hold it down. And it's okay. And I think, again, learning to recognize those voices, those feelings, those things that come up as part of the creative process. I think a lot of people sometimes are feeling like, oh, if I'm not in flow, and it's not like this, like, feeling like palm trees and sunshine and
Yeah.
stuff, then like I must be doing something wrong, right? Because I'm not feeling that creative flow. Truth is, that's only part of the process. The flow is also hitting a wall. Flow is
Mm-hmm.
also having to revisit 17-year-old self. It's all part of the creative process. So yeah, I think it's just good to remember it's smooth and it's crunchy. It's all of it all at
Yeah.
once until it's
Yeah.
not, until it's done, and then you move. But I think a lot of people don't share the crunchiness all the time. And I think it's really important, because then we have this view of like creativity as being this, I don't know, this big special thing saved for the big C creatives that just like go to a pen and perform alchemy in a page and da-da-da. And it's like, that's just an idea that stops you from creating once again. Right.
Once
And then
again.
people, question themselves, oh, but it's tough, or, oh, I don't know. And, so am I really, maybe I'm not cut out for this. No, it's part of the process. Process is not always
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. The
That's part of the
resistance is
process.
always there. Yeah. The
Yeah,
resistance is always,
exactly.
always there. And the resistance is always the most powerful part of any creative process, anything that you
Mm.
do. It's the absolute heaviest burden on anybody. And the fact that, like, I always think about it like when you're trying to move forward with whatever you're working on, resistance is that like 300-pound like bag that's on your back, and you're just trucking along. And every time you just stop, the resistance wins, and you're like, nope, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And I think for me, like slugging through that, putting yourself through that pain and that, those moments where you just say, I'm just going to keep going. I don't care if my fucking shoulders come off. Like, I'm just going to keep walking. Those are the moments that you, like you said, is like that growth point, that point where you just see yourself like, now it's like, what's 200 pounds? I can take on
Yeah.
400s,
Yeah.
whatever that is. But
And it's at
again,
that point,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. It's at that point that
no,
most people stop.
yep, that's it.
Just at
That's
that
it.
point when it gets really heavy and you're like, I don't think I can carry that. I'm just going to, maybe it's
Yeah,
not working out for me.
yeah,
And so the real challenge is stay in it. Stay in
that's
it. You
it.
don't have to show up for 2 hours, 10 minutes, but just stay in it. You're going to it will pass through you. And there's a reason why you're going through it. Trust that. And the other
Yeah,
thing that helped me a lot, because they call, when you're in the middle of the book, when you're writing them, call it like the muddy middle. So it's just like, you're like, what am I, because the first part is usually quite clear. And then the last part could be a bit like, you just kind of get stuck in that mud, and with that weight. And I froze a little bit. I thought, oh man, what's going to get me out of this? And I'm like, I'm going to write, not because it's going to be in the book. Maybe it will be. I don't think so. I'm going to write a new why. Why am I writing this book? Why is this important to me? Fuck the chapters and the deadlines
yeah,
stuff. I'm just going to reconnect to the spirit of my book. Why am I doing this thing? And that was so helpful to help me move through that to the other side, move through the heaviness of like being stuck in the middle. It was such a helpful process. And it wasn't written to be perfect, written to be included. It was just written to reconnect to, this is why I'm doing it. And when you
yeah.
reconnect to that why, I think it just gives you a different strength to continue, because it's
Mm-hmm.
about something bigger than yourself.
Absolutely,
And it's
absolutely.
about the impact on other people. And I think that can move us.
When do you see the book come? Like, do you have a date set or any of those things?
August. That's when it will be.
August.
That's when it will be published. But March will be when the pre-sale starts.
Wow. Okay.
So because I
Okay.
need to
It's
raise
happening.
the fund, it's happening. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I have the best developmental editor a girl could ask for. So I have to say partnership. You know what this has strengthened as well? A belief I've always had that I'm also sharing in the book is like, there is no such thing as lone geniuses. It
Right.
doesn't exist. It's just an idea. This one man
Yeah.
in a garage theory. It's
Yeah.
not, even that one man in a garage, if he exists, is he's on the shoulder of giants, all the ideas and people that came before him. There's just no such thing. And writing this book has been such a sweet reminder of the power of creative partnership.
That's it.
It's just, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now without it. Not to the same level, not to the same extent. And I think there's so much beauty in acknowledging and recognizing that it's really it's a team sport. We're social creatures. we create better together. That's just it. We create better together.
That's
Doesn't mean
a
every single part of the process, of course, but at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And so if ever you hit a wall, grab a partner.
yeah,
That will get you
yeah.
right out of it, you know? And it's just been such a, yeah, it's just been a beautiful reminder. And I'm really grateful for the partners that I have, creative
That's
partners
amazing.
along the way.
And I love that you said that because you took the words out of my mouth. It's such a beautiful thing to find those people that don't know you before this moment, but then they
Mm,
just bring their own wave of
mm,
creativity and their
mm,
own thought process, their own ideas, their own um their own like journey to your journey, and you're kind of just like riding along each other and like helping each other. Hey, it's beautiful. And I think there's, unfortunately, in this day and age, a lot more of that happen. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, like unfortunately, I wish it happened more in real life, where you can surround yourself with people and
mm,
like, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee for a
mm,
couple hours. I'm stuck on this like piece of
mm,
writing that I've been working on, and like, I just need somebody to like talk about. I just need to spill some beans real quick so that I can kind of figure out. But like when it happens online and we sort of, blow this up into the world of X and LinkedIn and all these other things, like, sure, you'll have some people chime in, you might have some people, this and that, but it's not that same moment. It's like moments like this where we can sit here face to face and
mm,
talk about it, and you can feel my notebook and see the pages and be like, oh, this is what you're going, like, it's just different. And I've had this urge of, and especially where I'm around right now in the Sacramento area, there's really not this like creator entrepreneurship energy of people that are, I don't want to say like-minded, but more so in that space, that are also yearning for a little bit more of that
mm.
real life, tangible relationship, like community, whether it's a once a month or whatever, where you just sit down with a bunch of people who are just throwing out different things, working on their own little ecosystems of things, like, hey, I'm starting a business here, I'm doing this, or I've started writing here and I'm trying to publish a book. Like, I miss that. Like, I used to, when I was living back in the Bay Area, I used to have a friend. We literally almost every night we just go to a Starbucks and we just sit there, we grab a cup of coffee and we just talk about everything that's on my mind, whether it's family, whether it's work, whether it's creative, whether it's this. And from those moments, so many beautiful things. Like, you go home and you just have these like
Mm,
the sparks are just
mm,
flying. And it's like, to me, I really yearn for that stuff around me
mm.
here, especially the place I'm in my life right now, where I have that time to go and sit down and help somebody else. It's not, it's a two-way street.
Sure.
And I think those are so important. And I'm so happy to hear that you found somebody that, like, with your book, especially such a big project, such an important part of your journey, to like be there to kind of like help you through those things. It's awesome to hear. It's really awesome to hear.
And here's the thing that's interesting, just to draw out. It's also like doing it together, but when you're with someone, they're able to see you in a way that you can't see yourself. They're able to see
Uh-huh.
your work in a way that you can't see yourself. And I think that's just really powerful. Like, she was able to
Mm-hmm.
pull some themes to go, I'm seeing the theme of chaos, control, creativity. I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think so. It's a lot about being seen. It's about being witnessed. And of course, if you're working with someone who's sort of, an editor, creative coach, whatever the words are, friend, they're able to see you and also connect dots and draw your attention to things that you can't see, whether it's an idea
Yeah.
that's cooking up under the surface, whether they're themes that are coming through. I mean, it's like, how does a fish know it's in water? So
Right.
you're able to like splash to
Yeah.
go, hey, water, water. And I think that's so, it's so important. And those have been really those aha moments for me. I'm like, whoa, you see me. And it also feels really good to be seen. I think everyone, that's how a lot of us want to do, is to be witnessed, and
Yeah.
seen, you know.
Yeah.
And the creative process is definitely a way to do that when you work also in partnership. And on your
Absolutely.
last note about the desire to, I have that desire, physical, real life connection.
Hmm.
We just need to do creative retreats every quarter.
I agree. I agree. It can literally be absolutely anywhere.
Yeah.
Just being able to get away for like a 4 or 5 day period where everybody
Yeah.
just can be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
With an
absolutely
intention,
beautiful.
and a sweet
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
intention of like, this is where we want at the end. You'll have the idea a bit more fleshed out, like whatever it could be, who knows, but there's
Yeah.
like a sweet
What
intention.
good food, good people,
Yeah.
good minds, like
Yeah.
just the good stuff, and
Just the good
leave
stuff.
all that
That's what we'll
bullshit
call it.
behind.
The good
Yeah,
stuff.
the good stuff retreat.
who, who doesn't want that? I mean, that's like a no-brainer,
People may get the wrong idea, and they might just start bringing random shit like like all kinds of crazy drugs. Be like, okay, that's fine too. Bring it, just bring it.
The good shit. Yeah, but that's the good shit. The good
That's
stuff
the
is
good shit.
is the PG version of it.
We'll write that in small letters. You can also bring the good shit.
The good shit. Yeah, exactly. Then that's something else,
Yeah, exactly. So how much time would you say that on kind of, I guess, a weekly basis, how much time are you dedicating towards writing this book versus, all your other stuff that you have going on? And, is there just like this, is there set times during the day, or you just kind of go at it? Like, what does that look like for you?
Even though I'm breaking one of my rules, because what are rules if not to be broken?
Yeah,
No,
right.
I am taking a
You're
weekend
bending
day.
them. You're
Yeah,
bending
I'm
them.
bending. I'm taking a Sunday because normally I really try to because sometimes when you do work you're passionate about and you love, it can bleed into the weekend. And I think it's important, and I can say from the process of the creative process, it's really important to have time where you don't do anything.
Yeah.
Right? So I really try to be very keep my Saturdays and Sundays clear of work. I'm breaking my rule because I'm doing I'm allotting all day Sunday to writing. So I just have and the big challenge is I don't need a whole day. So then I'll do 2 hours here and during the week, like 2 hours here, 3 hours here. I try to meet it wherever I can because I'm breaking one of my own barriers in my head of that I need like a lot of time together in one place in order to do it. It's not true. I like it. I like that. I enjoy having a lot of time where I don't have to think of anything else. But I think that also gets in the way of showing up for my creativity more frequently. So this is also creating a beautiful habit for me where it's like, even if it's an hour, even if it's half an hour, but the book is with me. And that's another thing. Like I'll journal about the book. I'll have ideas that come up. I'll voice note ideas. So even if I'm not writing, the book is with me. And I think that's really, really, really important part of the whole journey of writing a book is that it's alive. It's in your system. You feel it. It's beating with you,
Love that.
So yeah, but that's what it looks like right now. But because I do love having a day where I could just focus on it. That's nice.
Yeah. Are you what is I know you're in the process of writing, but what does the marketing look like for the book? What's kind of what are you taking to the, are you gonna just like, what does that look like for you? I guess is the question. Well, I'll kind of leave it at that.
They have a marketing advisors, which is going to be cool to start that process, but it's really about like speaking events as well and getting people involved as beta readers, getting the book pre-sold, getting experiences about the book where I'm part of hosting into the mix. And they have a theory, I think it's good. They say it's not about like having 10,000 or 100,000 fans, followers, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's about having 20 super fans, like people that are really, even the word fans I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
20 like super supporters who really, who have your back and who are going to maybe give you feedback and help you promote the book. So if you have 20, then those 20 usually will share with at least, I don't remember what the number is, at least 100 people. I don't know. It flows. They share with 10, then they share with 10, and then so it kind of spreads from there. But if you have like super supporters, it's really key. So they encourage that, and then it's just about the usual stuff of pulling out bits of the book, sharing bits, building up momentum. Getting beta readers, but I intentionally made a request of like the next is I have my last deadline in February 16th for like working with my development editor to have the draft done. And I said, I can't have two things. I can't have the marketing.
Right.
Nothing will happen if I wait 2 weeks. So I asked like the marketing guy I'm working with, can we hold off just for 2 weeks? And he's like, yeah, no problem. So I'll know more about what that looks like coming next. But supportive people, that's going to be a big one, and asking for people's support too. And of course, for me, I really hope that the book resonates with them, and it gives them something, or shows them something, or activates something, lights a little fire, or whatever it might be, or makes them smile. It might touch people in different ways, but that's my big goal, that it touches people in a way that makes them see things differently, claim their creativity, and then apply it to the design of their fucking life. Man, I would be happy. Oh, you just went, I can't hear you, obviously.
Oh,
Oh, there
sorry,
you
I
go.
had it on mute.
That's fine.
But are you going to do an audiobook?
Yeah, once I raise the funds.
Oh, perfect, perfect. And make sure you're the
Audio,
one reading it. Don't
yeah,
get
of
other
course.
people reading
No,
it.
no, 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 no. Of course, of course. So it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be
Oh,
cool.
that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be. I'm so super happy for you, and yeah, that's gonna be so much fun to actually have that physical book in your hands with your name on it. With like you, it's different. It's different. It's just different.
I look forward to seeing what you think of it when we get there.
Uh, oh yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, it's gonna be right there on my little shelf over here. But what else do you have going on? What else is going on in your life other than the book? Anything you want to share? Anything you want to talk about? Um, Drop it on me.
What's going on? To be honest, this book, my amazing clients that I work with, all of it is that's been sweet and full. What else? I'm learning. I don't know why I'm sharing this, but it's because it's very present for me. Escapism. When things get really heavy or I'm very focused, like I don't drink anymore. I stopped drinking 4 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
It just, it was a huge unlock for me in many, many ways. So enough said. But I used to, once in a while when I would work really, really hard and be super committed, I'd treat myself with like a night out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go out, we're gonna have a little drink and chill and just like release the pressure valve that I kind
Right.
of put on
Yeah.
myself. Because I'm pretty dedicated committed when I do something,
Hmm.
and sometimes I might go a little bit over, like the drill sergeant thing, which I'm getting better at. And so it used to be a way of releasing, and then sometimes dancing and movement helps a lot too. Don't do that much dancing as I used to. Man, I miss a good club where you could just go and like dance. Berlin has a lot of them, not a lot here. I love dancing. And it's like you reach a certain age and it's like, I don't know, at least here it's hard to find.
The endorphins just hit different.
It's so nice. It's so, so nice. But like, where can you find ecstatic dance, I guess? A place where you could just like dance where it's not necessarily
Yeah.
about getting sloshed and picking up people when you're like I guess I'm asking for a club for people who are a bit older. I don't know. That's
Asking
so
for a
cool.
friend. Asking for a
Asking
friend.
for a friend. Asking for a friend. Yeah, exactly. Anywho, I'm going off tangent. So I've caught myself that recently Netflix has become like, I love a good show. I love a good book.
Uh-huh.
Like, it was just my way of
Yeah.
shutting off and not dealing with life, because I've been on dealing with life for all day. And so I'm like, I just don't want to deal with it anymore. So I'm just going to escape in someone else's little story. And while there's nothing wrong with that when done, I mean, I'm not talking crazy stuff, but it just became
Right.
like, I'll just watch an episode. You know what I mean? It became like having a glass of wine
It's
after
so
work, which is
easy.
what it's
It's
too
so
easy.
easy.
It's too easy. And I realized it recently. And I'm like, I just told my husband, I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it this week. I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to stop. And because I have so many books, and maybe I don't have to, I'm reading fiction. I'm a fiction junkie. I love a good story. I love good writing. So nonfiction, yes,
Yeah.
is good. I have tons of nonfiction everywhere. Look at, you know, you're a badass at making money, mindset stuff, story
Yeah.
genius. This is my editor recommended this. I have like book coming out the wazoo. And I just want to find different things at night that are better for
Hmm.
me, that I can still be present with life, not escape into something else and unwind. So it's funny how
Yeah.
like old behaviors, they're sneaky.
Uh-huh.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I might
They
not be
turn
having
into
a glass of
habits. They
wine.
turn into
Yeah, but it's another way of just going, I'm just going to shut off.
hmm.
And again, everything in moderation. Once in a while, there's nothing wrong with getting lost in a series. And if you want to eat Ben and
Right.
Jerry's and Sherry Garcia and watch a series because you can, because you don't have to adult all the fucking time, and you can watch it till
Right.
1 a.m. and just have
Right.
one of those nights. Please do. Like, I'm going to allow myself that. Got
Yeah,
one
of
life.
course.
Life is too important to be taken seriously, as Oscar Wilde said.
Yeah.
But when those old habits start wearing a different outfit and start
Yeah.
creeping back in, and I'm like, oh, yeah, sneaky bugger. Nope. So, and it's just because everything feels very beautiful and intense. So I just feel like that's taken on. So I'm sharing that. I don't know if that's helpful. I'm just sharing it because that's
I love it.
come to my attention,
That
and I'm trying to be better about it.
That's real. That's real. I think get kind of me and Armina get kind of caught up in that sometimes too. Is like we'll just put on a show. We got caught up in I don't know if you've seen For All Mankind
I love that. I
on.
got so caught up in that.
Oh,
Oh, that was so good. That was like a
yeah, we're
thought
on the.
experiment. That's such a
Oh
good
my
thought
God.
experiment in so many ways. And I love fucking space. And I just like the whole thing is
Oh,
so, and that show is really like getting into another world because it goes
it
through
is.
generations, like it's generations
Yep.
and history and change. And
Yeah.
I mean, character development, forget about it. Character development. It's like, it's a really, and don't get me wrong, I love a good, well written show, and I did get
Yeah.
lost in that one big time. That's a good one. Where are you in the show?
We're towards the end of third season right now. We're kind
Okay,
of
well,
finishing up the
you
third
have
season, and man, it's so good. But then we just have to be like, okay, we watched this like couple nights in a row. Like, let's
exactly,
just have some time to like talk and
exactly,
chill here, just drink
exactly,
tea with the TV off, type of thing. Like, you just kind
exactly.
of, you know what I mean? It's like you
That's
have
the
to catch
thing.
yourself.
Totally. And I said that to Teddy as well. Like, let's find other ways of like unwinding and shaking off the day. Cause Teddy is doing his
Hmm.
master's in law. And he was working
Oof.
part time. So he's also kind of intense and passionate and busy and doing stuff.
Yeah.
So then they were just like, oh, popcorn
Yeah.
show,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, let's change it up now. Cause that's the habit, right? It's
That's
okay
it.
once in a while, but when it starts to become like a thing, it's like, is this really
Yeah.
useful? Is this really
Yeah. We
useful?
have
Is it really harmful?
Yeah, we have friends who'll do like 4 or 5 hours a night of like Netflix,
Yeah.
like binge and like go heavy, like introduce them to a show and they'll be done within like faster than we are. We're like, whoa, what did you guys? We just couldn't get off. I'm like, oh no, I was like, I cannot. Like, give me like an hour, and that's like a max. Like sometimes I'll go into like the 2 hour mark where I'm like, that was just too good. Can we start at least the
Yeah,
second
yeah,
one? And by the time you
yeah.
know the second one's already done, and you're just like, fuck, like this is just 2 hours of life, just but
Just
I mean,
gone.
again, yeah.
But do you know what the CEO of Netflix said? I think my husband told me this. Was quoted as saying that who his biggest competition was?
Who?
Sleep. That's some scary
That's
shit.
dangerous. That's dangerous.
I know, because it's just like,
That's
so the
bad.
whole thing is designed like just one more,
Oh
just one more,
no.
just one more, and it's like, oh my God, that's terrible. Yeah, yeah. So,
Fucking guy, thanks for admitting that. That's big props to him.
right? Hopefully my husband didn't just make that up. Yeah, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a thing. So yeah, finding
That's
like
crazy.
especially when it's here it's really dark. The weather is just not conducive for going outside and chilling. So finding different ways of being at the end of the day, and you
Hmm.
know what's off mean, what's on mean, and all of those
Yeah.
things, I think, is just the practice. So that's kind of what I've
We're
been working
constantly
with.
navigating. We're all constantly navigating things, and it's just the amount of mind that you have to navigate through something good, through something bad, find yourself back in the good, back in the like this constant road is just crazy. So
But
I
that's where
completely agree with you.
journaling comes up. Not to point my
Yep.
finger, I just did.
Yep.
It's because it creates a certain level of awareness that you
Yep.
might not see. So I free write most mornings, and
Hmm.
it's just like I'm able to see a pattern, and it's like, oh, there's an old habit that's just reappearing in a different way. No, no, no,
That's
no,
it.
no, right? And so something just needs to be rejigged, And I think
Yeah.
you're able to see that when you slow down and meet yourself, and you create those moments and those spaces where you can meet yourself and become aware of what's happening or what's present. And I think it's really, really important. It's not about judging or saying what you should or shouldn't be doing, just making conscious choices. Because there's nothing wrong with Netflix. It isn't my take. If it's a conscious choice, you're like, I am
It
choosing
is.
this
Yep.
consciously
Yep.
because I am just going to binge watch and have my Cherry Garcia and do whatever the thing, then I'm doing it. Then I think it's fine. But if it becomes like automatic, like, oh, I just need to like escape,
Yep.
unwind or something habitual, automatic, knee jerk, then your habits are leading you. And that's
Yeah.
not what you want. It's the other way around. You get to choose.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, the journaling thing that you and I have talked about for a
Yeah.
while, the journaling cohort,
Yeah. I would love to do that
or
still.
like the course, I literally just found the name for it. You just said it, Meet Yourself.
Yes. That's great.
You literally just, I mean,
Meet
that clicks
yourself.
on a different, meet yourself. Like just meet yourself in the morning, at night, during the day, whenever you do, just
Totally.
meet yourself. I think
Totally.
that is absolutely the best way to describe what journaling should be
Mm.
for most people that are even just never have done it before. It's a way to just like you and yourself on paper. And me and
Mm.
Armina have this unspoken rule where it's like you can leave your journal open, you can do whatever. Nobody's going to read each other's journal unless the other
Of
person decides
course.
to. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
that's
Like this, like, but that's yourself right there on paper. And I think that is the absolute, like, I just literally circled it on my little piece of paper here because that is the best name for it, honestly.
I love that. I love that.
I That's something I, whenever you're done with this book, and and however I can help, obviously help you promote it, get it out there.
Thanks. That
You
means a
want
lot.
to, do a entire 20-30 minute podcast of just like, even, I don't know, whatever you want to do, read part of the book. I can, whatever that is, like whatever we can do. I know this podcast doesn't have like any kind of crazy reach. Like I said, we can do whatever you need, but however I can help, I would absolutely love to. And I just really, really cannot wait for you to get that thing in your hands, because I think it's going to be absolutely, knowing what I know about you, and the spurts of the way I see your mind work, and like the overlaps you and I have with like thought process and how we approach things, and how we, like, this whole thing we just talked about. It's just awesome. So I just want to say I'm rooting for you like no other.
Mm. Oh, that means the world to me. It means so much
Yes.
to me. I mean, and I'll take you up on it. I'm gonna not only be better at
Yep.
asking, but receiving. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Received
Absolutely.
with a big heart, and it means a lot to me. It really does.
So tell whoever decides to listen to, where they can find you, how they can hear about the book when it starts, the pre-sale, anything you want to share about the book, your writing, your Twitter, your
Sure.
whatever else it is.
Pia Lichter on X. That's where I spend a lot of my time on in community, and I have a newsletter called The Shift, which is all about helping creatives and visionaries and founders and whoever else create subtle shifts and pivot towards a dream. And then Collective.studio is the name of my biz, Conscious Creation Studio, and it's collective with 2 Ks and no E. So it's a Danish collective studio. And I'll also have promos about the book there, have a page up when I'm there, and I'll be shouting about it on X and in my newsletter. So that's where I'll be.
Perfect.
And I would love to see y'all, everybody.
Yes,
I'd love
absolutely.
to
And I'll
see
put
you
all that
if it
stuff in the
resonates. If
yeah,
it
I'll put all that
resonates.
stuff in the show notes when this drops, and we'll go from there. But thank you so much again, Pia, for being on here chatting. It's always a pleasure. And whenever you have a word to spread, something to say, holler. We'll get right back
Will
on
do.
and record an
Thanks.
episode.
I have one question for you. What can I do to support your creative journey?
Um, Honestly, you just showing up. This is all the
Mm.
support that I need. Honestly, like, this is what it's all about. I think you're one of those. You're one of the people that I know I can always reach out to whenever there's something. And I think the only way that we can support each other and the way you can support me is to continue doing what you're doing. And one day we'll get this journaling course out there, because I think
the
it's
good
just
stuff and the meet yourself. It's on the cards. You heard it here
that's
first,
it.
people.
That's right. That's
You heard it here
right.
first. And if you want the good stuff or to meet yourself, just send Z a note. And
Exactly.
it's always nice to know if it actually sounds interesting. We're beta testing it now in the ethers.
Yeah.
So let us know, because it's something that we've been cooking for actually a long time. Not the good stuff.
I know.
That's new. But the meet yourself.
We've been cooking the good stuff too.
That's true. We've been cooking the good shit. No.
Awesome.
And I'm rooting for you too. And thanks for having me on today. As usual, it's been a real pleasure. I appreciate you, my friend.
Always, always.